Good morning to you all. Any question if you have? How many of you are going through the content beforehand? NCRTs? Thank you. Right, we were talking about rotation, the consequences of rotation. Now we are going to have a discussion on revolution. What is revolution? Revolution. Movement of the earth as a celestial body, movement of the earth as a celestial body around the center of the solar system, that is sun. Right, solar system. Till very recently, geographers used to believe that earth is the center of universe. Earth is the center of universe. This is called geocentric concept. That is earth as the center of the universe. Later on, sun was treated as the center of universe. Right. This is called heliocentric concept. And only in 18th century, some guy came and he suggested that neither earth nor sun was the center of the universe. Right. So when for the first time Galileo suggested that earth is the center of the universe, so everybody started stoning him, because the biblical belief was that the seat of the Pope was the center of the universe. Right. Some of the Muslims also believed that Makkah is the center of universe. Right. So this is how the evolution took place, and there is no known center of the universe. Human does not know actually the center of the universe. So sun is the center of the solar system and earth revolves around it. The speed of revolution is around 29 kilometers per second. the path of this is, which is called orbit or orbital plane. Currently it is elliptical. The shape of the path elliptical, not always elliptical. Currently elliptical, keeps on changing from circular to elliptical. Called eccentricity. Why? God knows. No, seriously, nobody knows it. There are so many things we don't know. The loose explanation is due to intergravitational force of different stars present in the universe. Somewhere might be black hole, and because of that somewhere it is pulled and somewhere it is repelled and all. But that's not acceptable to the scientists, or at least no well-known definition or explanation. So elliptical to circular. If you look at the shape of the orbit is right now elliptical. It has its own consequence. Right? What is the consequence? The distance between the earth and the sun keeps on changing. Between the earth and the sun keeps on changing. When it is farthest, that is generally on 4th July, it is called aphelion. And the distance is around 153 million kilometers. When it is nearest, it is on 4th January. It is called perihelion. 147 million kilometers. So the average difference between the earth and the sun is 150 million kilometers. Look at this part, 4 January and 4 July. Aphelion, perihelion. The moment you have hell word, it is associated with sun. Heliocentric. Right. Now, anything, if we know that sun is the source of energy on earth, right? So if it is revolving and at some one point of time it is closer, other point of time it is farther, right? So when it is farthest, earth receives more energy. Earth receives more energy. When it is farthest, it receives less energy. Hope you understand that. Right, if you are nearer to the source of energy, let's say heater, you will get more energy. You will intercept more energy. So the temperature should be higher. But in January, in our case, we have winter. And in July, we have summer. Right? Write down a question. Statement. If you don't remember, understand it anywhere, let me know. If the shape of the orbit of the earth, if the shape of the orbit of the earth is circular, if the shape of the orbit of the earth is circular, the summer and the winter in India, both would be severe. Next statement. Same statement, just use Australia. If the orbital path or the shape of the orbit of the earth was circular, then both summer and winter would be severe in Australia. You have options, only one, only two, both, none are true. Only one is true, two is not true. Why? Where? In southern hemisphere, Australia. But winter would be severe. Okay. I hope all of you understand it. So what is the answer? Both. That's what I love. When there is two different opinion and two students sitting nearby. I would love you to talk to each other. Why both? Mm-hmm. During June, India is experiencing summer. Australia would be experiencing winter. And vice versa. December we are experiencing, northern hemisphere would experience winter and southern hemisphere would experience summer. This much you all know, right? Now see perihelion. Perihelion is nearest. Right? Aphelion is farthest. Now, if we take average, that will be circular. Average distance, if the distance is 150 kilometers throughout, that will be circular. Right? But it is 153, it is 147. So, if the average is 150, now in case of India, if that is circular, so during January, sun would be nearer or farther than the present? farther. Because sun is right now 147, and if the orbit is circular, it would be 150. So farther from the present. So winter will be severe. Good morning. Welcome to geography class. Even I didn't get. Okay, imagine yourself Earth, me as Sun, right? We are maintaining a distance of 150 meter, right? So 150 meter is average if you are revolving around me at the same distance everywhere, right? So let's take first case, perihelion. So perihelion, you are 147 meter distance. So you will receive more energy from this heater, right? But if the orbit is made circular, you will be 3 meters away from me, right? So if the orbit is circular, you will be farther from me than the present. So you will receive less energy. So there will be cooler aspects, right? So winter will be severe. Now in the case of summer, right now it is 153 meter, but if it is circular, it will be 150 meter. So nearer than the present. Right now, imagine you are 153 meters. But if I make a circular path, you will come to 3 meters nearer. So you will receive more energy, higher intensity, so you will be more heated, so summer will be severe. Any doubt? So from the present, with respect to the circular orbit, winter will be severe in northern hemisphere and summer will also be severe in northern hemisphere. But in southern hemisphere, it will be exactly opposite. Why? It is 4th January, it is summer there, Australia, right? 147 kilometer, 147 million kilometer is summer. Now, if you make it 150, summer will be cooler than the present. In northern hemisphere, it will be hotter than the present. In southern hemisphere, it will be cooler than the present. Winter, 153, it will come back to 150. So winter will be slightly on this warmer side. Warmer winter, cooler summer. Do I need to explain it again? What is the reason for? We have to have the summer in? Okay. Why should you have winter or summer? I'm asking why should we have? I'm asking a question. No, this is a simple question. If you answer it, it is easier to answer my question than yours. And both are answering the same question. No. Why should you feel cooler? Because the temperature around you is lower. Why should you feel hotter? I'm like hotter in temperature sense. Because the temperature around you is more. Now, it is the factors which affect the temperature that makes a northern hemisphere cooler or warmer. So there are several factors which affect the temperature distribution. So if you take northern hemisphere, so during winter season, why do we have lower temperature in northern hemisphere and higher temperature in southern hemisphere? For that, one factor is insolation, not all the factors. Just for example, if you have a heater right here, right, and there are many objects, including, let's say, me, glass, this, all are receiving same amount of energy, yet the temperature of all the body will not be same, right? So there we'll be talking about the factors affecting temperature distribution, and there we'll understand why northern hemisphere is experiencing winter and summer. Till here, I hope we understand. Now the consequence. What are the consequences? Consequences of revolution. The first consequence is difference in the length of the day and night. Difference in the length of the day and night at a place over the year. Changing angle of incidence or sun's rays at a place with time. That produces energy per unit area differs with different angle. Loss of energy in the atmosphere differs with different angle. With differing angle. These two combinedly leads to seasons. Let's first point, difference in the length of the day and night at a place over the year. What is happening with revolution? The angle of incidence, the most important factor leading to various consequences is angle of incidence. When the sun's rays make angle at different places. Why do the angle would be different? Because of action, traction, tilt of the axis. Now that is how you will see the questions. Which of the following factors are responsible for seasons? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 and 2, 3 kind of. So, angle of incidence. First, why there will be different angle at a different place? Different angle at different place at the same time. Why? Why would be the angle be differing at different place at the same time? Huh? No. Tilt of the? No. Shape of the earth. At the same time. At different time, tilt of the axis. But at the same time, it is because of the shape of the earth. That's one of the consequences of the shape of the earth. What is the shape of the earth? Roughly spherical. Now, spherical shape makes it different angle. Let's say suppose it is flat, then the angle would be same because sun is much larger than the earth. So angle would be same. Now make with the same angle, make it different. If the surface of the earth be flat, then the angle made would be different, same. But since it is spherical, the angle now you see that this is almost perpendicular, keep on changing this side. Right? So vertical rays, obliquity. So oblique. The angle decreases. Angle decreases away from the vertical rays. Normally equator to poles. So if earth is revolving without inclination, axial inclination, there won't be seasons. Always remember that. So what will be the angle if earth, like this is how the questions might be framed, that if the earth axial inclination is 0, then all the places will have same temperature throughout the year. Average daily would be same throughout the year. If the temperature is same throughout the year, that means there is no season, whatever temperature it is, right? And the temperature will decrease continuously from equator to the pole because the angle will keep on decreasing. Now, how that angle affects? First thing is why there will be difference in angle at the same time. Now, why angle will differ? Angle will be different at a place at a different time. Earlier we were talking about time constant, place is different. Now we are talking about place constant, different time. Let's say Hyderabad. Right? First question was why Hyderabad, Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai will have different angle. Right? Because the earth is like this. So which of the among the city I spoken has higher angle? Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Delhi. Which has higher angle? Chennai, because it is closer to Chennai and Bangalore are located on the same latitude. So both of them have the highest. Lowest angle will be made at Delhi, but during summer Delhi has the highest temperature among these four. Yes. So that's one factor is energy. Temperature is another factor. Energy is one of the most important factor affecting temperature distribution, but not all the factors. Right. Here we are talking about why a single place, any place we choose, at a different point of time, the angle will be different. It is because of axial inclination, revolution, as well as parallelism. So these three factors minimum will be responsible for making seasons at any place where the season exists. These are the reasons for seasons. Right. These are the two reasons for this phenomena. Why the angle of the sun will differ at different point of time at a given place. You can imagine it here. When the sun's rays is exactly perpendicular at the equator, imagine. So all the places will keep on experiencing decreasing angle from there. Right? When you are having this situation, when equator is above the horizon, so your vertical rays will be somewhere below that. So from there angle will keep on decreasing. Right? The most important factor affecting the insolation, amount of insolation at a particular place, is the length of the day. This is how length of the day is also affected. Which will decrease from pole to pole. Right now, which pole would have been experiencing longest day? North Pole. North Pole would have been under the darkness. 6 months day-night phenomena. Have you heard about it? Why is it so? Because of the inclination. Right? Imagine yourself ahead as sun. Right? Even if take it slightly distant, even if I'm revolving it, let's take like this. Can you see South Pole? No? Right? So this half of the circle, you cannot see South Pole. And North Pole will not go away from your sight. So even if it is rotating, the entire North Pole is under the influence of the sun's rays. South Pole is not coming. And South Pole, good amount of area, not only South Pole, but area beyond 66.5 degree latitude will be experiencing night here and will be experiencing day here. Right? Open your atlas. You may have one picture of revolution. Now you can see here also. Look at the solstices, the equinoxes. Equinox, equinox. The vertical rays of the sun will differ at different position of the earth with respect to the sun. When we say equinoxes, the vertical rays of the sun is at equator. At equator, we call it equinoxes. Equinox, that is equal distribution of energy in both the hemisphere. Equinoxes. And that is happening at, look at here, September 22 or March 21. These days may differ for a day or two because of the 365, 360 days phenomena. Right? So, generally March 21 and September 23. That is equinoxes. When the sun's rays is vertical at the equator, that means both the hemispheres are receiving equal amount of energy and we call it equinoxes, solstices. This is called winter solstice. When around December 21, you have the vertical rays of the sun at Tropic of Capricorn. This is 23.5 degrees south, Tropic of Capricorn. You can check it out in your atlas also. This is Tropic of Cancer. We call it summer solstice We call it a winter solstice. And there will be gradual movement from 0 to 23 and a half in 3 months, then 23 and a half to 0 in next 3 months. The next 3 months it will be in the southern hemisphere from 0 to 23 and a half. The next 3 months it will be from Tropic of Capricorn come back to equator. So that's why equator remains in the middle of that vertical rays of the sun, and equator is influenced more by the verticality as compared to the tropics. Hence, equator has higher amount of insolation per unit of time. Now, which among these? Right now, the North Pole is under the darkness. For 6 months, North Pole and nearby area would be experiencing night. What would be that 6 month? September to March. You can check it out. And March to September, it will be otherwise. When it is summer in the northern hemisphere, North Pole will be experiencing 6 months night. When it is winter in the northern hemisphere, South Pole will be experiencing 6 months day phenomena. Northern hemisphere summer, North Pole day and South Pole night. Southern hemisphere summer, South Pole day and North Pole night. Did I confuse you? Thank you. So this is how you remain awake in the morning without wine. Right. So here we are talking about the revolution and the changing position of the vertical rays of the sun. Right. When the sun starts moving from equator towards the north, it will take 3 months this vertical rays to reach to Tropic of Cancer. During this period, the entire northern hemisphere will be lit. North Pole will have longest day. South Pole will have the shortest day, 0 day. So from North Pole to South Pole, the length of the day will keep on decreasing. Right? Till it is the vertical rays of the sun remains north of the equator. So it will take from 0 to Tropic of Cancer 3 months and Tropic of Cancer back to 0 3 months. So for this 6 months, the North Pole will be lit throughout. South Pole will be under the darkness. The next 6 months, it will be reversed. Did I remove your confusion? Thank me. Did we get that? So vertical rays of the sun remains at equator during equinoxes and at tropics during solstices. Write down a question. A very interesting, very easy brainstorming question. On 15th July, which one of the given latitude will make the longest shadow of a person? Which one of the given latitude will make the longest shadow of a person? Number 1, Tropic of Cancer. Number 2, Capricorn. Number 3, South Pole. Number 4, North Pole. Capricorn. दोनों Capricorn. मजा नहीं आया फिर. I didn't enjoy seeing you both wrong. What is the answer? Capricorn. Somebody had heard? South Pole. Why? North Pole. You thought just because it is day in South Pole. Tropic of Cancer will also have day. Capricorn will also have day. And how many of you believe that it's South Pole? So you are through prelims. Why do you believe that? Good, go ahead. You're on the correct path. Angle decreases. Shadow is longer. Very close. The answer is South Pole. If this is the sun and I am just under the sun, my shadow will be shortest. Right? That's the concept behind it. Simplest possible. So anything closest to the vertical rays or a person is standing closest to the vertical rays would make the shortest shadow. And if he or she keeps on moving away from that vertical rays, the shadow will keep on being longer. That's the basic principle of shadow formation. Now look at the option. Check it out by yourself. The question states about 15th June, right? 15th July. So it is closer to what? Vertical rays is close to Tropic of Cancer. Because on 21st June it remains a Tropic of Cancer. So 15th July roughly close to Tropic of Cancer, right? Now look at it. Check it out. The farthest. It is 15th July, right? Not December. It is not South Pole. It is North Pole. The answer is North Pole. I got confused with 15th July and December. So on 15th July, where do you expect the vertical rays among the given option? Closer to Tropic of Cancer. Shortest shadow would be made at Tropic of Cancer, right? So it is eliminated. The option is eliminated. Now, among these three, South Pole will remain under darkness. No shadow will be formed. Eliminated. Right? Then what is left is Capricorn and North Pole. Which one is farther? Capricorn. Engineer ho? Are you an engineer? Engineer. Forgiven. From Tropic of Cancer, North Pole is away or Capricorn is away? 47 degree, 66.5 degree. So the answer will be North Pole. The distance, the farthest distance we are supposed to find from the vertical rays to have the longest shadow. So the farthest distance from here will be South Pole. But South Pole will be under darkness. So it can't be the option. So North Pole is the answer. Have we got it? In the same question, find out the exact latitude where the vertical rays of the sun is existing. No, exact latitude. There is no option for that. It is on 15th July. So where do we expect vertical rays of the sun to exist on 15th July? No, that will be on 21st June. That's great. Somewhere on the earth. I'm asking the exact answer. On 21st June, the vertical rays of the sun will be at 23.5 degree north. Right? Now you have a date, 15th July. What is the latitude? (44). You never have vertical rays of the sun at 44 degree. You will always have 23.5 to 23.5, somewhere in between. The maximum it goes is 23.5 degree north, comes to equator, 23.5 degree south. That is the position of the sun, sun's vertical rays. It is again the easiest question you can have, the simplest possible mathematical calculation. 23.5, it is on 21st June. When it is moving towards equator, when it will reach equator? September, roughly around 21st September. Now, in between you have 15th July. Find out the latitude. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 17.24. That's the answer. 17 degrees is the answer. Now, how did you calculate it? It is taking, this was the Cancer, 23.5 degree. On which date? 21st June. It will come to equator, that is 0 degree. On which date? 21st September. That means roughly around 3 months. It takes 3 months to cover around 24 degree latitude. I'm taking it round figure, 23.5 to 24. So each month the vertical rays of the sun travels 8 degree latitude. Each month, wherever you need to stop me, stop me. You have every right, you have paid for it. 8 degree each month, right? So each week it will travel 2 degree. Right? Why am I converting week? Because the question is about weeks. So 21st June and 15th July, roughly 3 weeks away. Any doubt? 3 weeks means it would have moved 6 degree from here in this direction. So 23.5, 6 degree minus, that is around 17 degree. Any doubt? Let me know. तुम इतना जो मुस्कुरा रहे हो, क्या गम है जिसको छुपा रहे हो? नहीं समझे तो हम बात कर सकते हैं. मुस्कुराने से आपका नुकसान ही होगा. I personally think that it is relatively easier to calculate. But agar sometimes you just have a little bit of confusion. To clear that, you should speak. Just on your behalf, I am repeating it again. The whole year, the sun's rays travel and keeps on traveling in between 47 degree. Right? And it travels twice. Goes like this. Right? 6 months, repeat this area, 6 months, repeat this area. So each 3 months it travels one component from equator to the tropics. Any tropic we take. That is 3 months it takes to travel roughly around 24 degree. So each month it is traveling 8 degree. Each week it is traveling 2 degree. Right? The question, if you have 15th July, suppose if it is 21st July, then we don't need to convert into weeks because there is a difference of 1 month. You can simply say there will be a difference of 8 degree. Now, it will never cross this or this, at least in the present day inclination. So, if it is not crossing it, you have to measure from this direction or this direction. So, since you have a reference point of 21st June at Tropic of Cancer, if it is 21st July, the location would be at around 15 degree latitude. That is 8 degree away, 1 month away. If it is just 1 week, suppose 30th June or 28th, 29th June, where it will be? 21 and half, beautiful. At 15th June, it can't be 27, it has to be 23 and half maximum. At 15th June, that is 1 week away again. That is again 21 and half degree. North. Me. 2 degrees. 1 week, 2 degree. So the only difference in 15th June and 28th June, both location will be same. It is going and that one is coming. Location will be same. Let's say suppose 21st June and 21st July and 21st May. Location will be same. Any question? Hope we are understanding that. 15th December, find out the location. Twenty-one and half south. That's it. Now, come back to the consequence of revolution. Everywhere you will read seasons. Right. But this again, for kids in NCERT, it is directly written seasons. But equatorial region never receives any season, never experiences season. Right. It's always uniform. The temperature condition or weather condition is almost uniform throughout the year. So there is no season in the equatorial region. Equatorial region is also revolving. So only revolution does not give you seasons. Right. There are factors. So revolution is one factor, but not the only factor producing seasons. Right. Now come back to that length of the day. It keeps on decreasing from North Pole to South Pole in one season and South Pole to North Pole in one season. Right. On any given day, the amount of insolation would be highest at which latitude? At equator. No. Tropics. What makes you believe that? The most important factor affecting insolation is the length of the day. Right? So pole will have the longest day, 24 hours, and the shortest, another pole will have the shortest, 0 hour. So the highest amount of insolation will be received at one pole, one of the poles. That might be most surprising for you. Right? Again, here you need to differentiate. Why are you imagining that pole should have lesser insolation? Because it has lesser temperature. So amount of energy and temperature are not necessarily in collaboration with each other or in conformity with each other. Just like I gave you example that all these 4 objects are receiving same amount of energy per unit area, but the temperature will not be same. So energy is same, but temperature is not same. So if the amount of energy received by the polar region is highest, does not necessarily mean temperature should also be highest. So on any given day, the pole, one of the pole receives maximum energy. Maximum insolation. Right? And another pole will receive minimum. That means insolation will keep on decreasing. Decrease from pole to pole on daily basis. All we are talking about daily phenomena. On daily basis. So can we say all the places located on the Earth's surface will have constant insolation throughout the year, the amount of insolation? Can we say all the places have equal length of the day and night throughout the year? All the places on the earth have 6 months day-night phenomena. It is true. If you look at the length of the day and night cumulatively at annual basis, all the places will have 6 months day and 6 months night. The only difference is the continuity or the length of the day. Let's say, for example, North Pole has 24 hours day during summer, so it will have 24 hours night during winter. Right? Let's say 80-degree latitude. If it has 22 hours day during summer, it will have 22 hours night during winter, 6 months. If you have equator, 12 hours day, 12 hours night almost throughout the year, 6 months day-night phenomena. So, the nature has arranged the Earth-Sun relationship in a manner that all the places located on the Earth's surface will have 6 months day-night phenomena. However, on daily basis, the length of the day and night will differ according to their position. Any doubt? So, the amount of insolation received at all the latitude will be same throughout the year, except some atmospheric conditions, no. Like transparency of the atmosphere will play an important role, but in the atmosphere above every place or every latitude, you will have same amount of insolation throughout the year. Now, what makes the temperature different is the angle of incidence. Right? The first thing is that higher angle increases the intensity of insolation. as energy available per unit area is higher. With higher angle. If the angle is high, this will be the condition. First consequence. Second consequence will be the loss of energy in the atmosphere. Loss of energy in the atmosphere is lower with higher angle. Because of low thickness of the atmosphere. Because of the low thickness of or lower thickness of the atmosphere, the energy is supposed to pass through. Hence, it is the difference. Hence, it is the difference in the angle of incidence. Angle of incidence at a place at two different points of time in a year makes them seasons. कुछ नहीं समझे? सब समझ गए? तब तो मेरी जरूरत ही नहीं है फिर. Now, look at the first point. This point, we are talking about the difference in the angle. Higher angle increases the intensity of insolation as energy available per unit area is higher. How the angle will make different impact of the energy. Right? Let's say suppose same unit of energy at with higher angle vertical rays. Look at the area served. This much area. Same unit of energy at lower angle. Now look at the area served by it. Look at the area served by it. Right? If the focus is like this and it is flat, imagine a torch, just like in this case. Look at this part. When the angle of the sun's rays that's what we were trying here. If it is vertical, the area served is lesser. If it is more inclined, the area served is more. Right? So same unit of energy, let's say 90 degree, 1 unit of surface area, 1.4 units of surface area, and 2 units of surface area. When the angle decreases, the area served increases, the energy availability per unit area decreases, hence the temperature decreases. Easy to understand, I hope. Right? So first word was, when the angle is higher, the energy available per unit area is also higher. When the angle decreases, which decreases towards the pole, so area served by the same amount of energy increases. And hence, the energy per unit area decreases. It's simply 100 rupees being distributed into 50 people or 100 rupees being distributed into 10 people. So per unit, per person, the amount of money will be different, even if the cumulative, it is 100 rupees. In same manner, if you look at the atmospheric thickness, energy is supposed to pass through. This is the atmosphere. Now imagine that vertical rays of the sun. So this is the length of the atmosphere the energy is supposed to pass through. Length of the atmosphere. Look at this is the length of the atmosphere the energy is supposed to pass through. So energy is passing through thicker atmosphere. Energy is passing through less thicker atmosphere. Atmosphere do play its role. Some amount of energy will be absorbed, some will be reflected back, some will be scattered or sent sideways. So good amount of energy is lost in that atmosphere before striking the earth's surface. Right? Atmosphere has a lot of solid, liquids, gases. Each will interfere in the insulational aspects. So thicker atmosphere will result into greater loss of energy. So lesser energy reaching or striking the earth's surface. More energy striking the earth's surface. That's why the equatorial region or vertical rays with roughly similar surface will make higher temperature as compared to the inclined rays. That's why, let's say suppose on the continent, let's say a plateau area of 500 meter. If you move from equator towards the pole, the temperature will keep on decreasing. On the oceans, the temperature will keep on decreasing. Hope you understand. From equator to poles in general. So these are the two factors which results into formation of seasons. First is higher angle increases the intensity of insolation as energy available per unit area is higher. Any doubt? Second point is loss of energy in the atmosphere is lower with higher angle because of low thickness of the atmosphere the energy is supposed to pass through. Hope you understand? Now, any place experiencing difference of angle at two different points of time will experience seasons. Right? If the angle of incidence at a place is roughly same throughout the year, then the amount of temperature would be same throughout the year. Right? If the angle of incidence is different at different point of time and the difference increases, then the temperature with higher angle will be higher, temperature with lower angle will be lower, and the temperature difference between the 2 points of time at different point of time will be so high that you can have seasons. Me too. Second one, atmospheric. We are talking about this, that energy is supposed to pass through thicker atmosphere. Look at here, this is the atmosphere parallel to the Earth's surface. Now look at here, the energy is supposed to travel through atmosphere. Is less? What? Yes or no? When the energy is supposed to pass through, more. So greater atmosphere it has to pass through. So more interference by the atmospheric particles. So less energy reaching onto the Earth's surface. Right? If you are throwing something and there are a lot of nets in between, the end result will be lesser. So atmosphere has solids, liquids and gases which will interfere in the insulation. Right? So longer or lengthier atmosphere will result into greater loss of energy in the atmosphere itself. Since here the energy is supposed to pass through narrow or thinner atmosphere as compared to this one. So energy loss here will be more, energy loss here will be less. Clear? What was your? No, we are talking something different here. This one. Okay. Let's say equator, 0 degree, right? Angle of incidence will be roughly around 85 to 90 degree throughout the year at equator, right? Is going slightly away, the vertical rays will be not hugely different. So it will be 85 to 90. So when it is 85, the energy is less. When it is 90, the energy is more. But the difference is extremely low, right? So at equator, you have temperature 21 degrees Celsius minimum and 26 degrees Celsius maximum. So you don't feel any season, right? So if the angle of incidence is not different at a different point of time, or let's say June and January at any particular place, they won't be experiencing seasons. So seasons at any place would happen when the angle of incidence is different at two different point of time. So seasonal phenomena is not a phenomena found around the equator, but it is away from the equator. If you keep on moving away from the equator, the phenomena of seasons will be happening more and more and more. Any doubt? Should I try it again? Thank you. Let's say, do you have seasons in Hyderabad? Right? So we can say that we have seasons in Hyderabad. And what do we mean by that? When we say there is seasons in Hyderabad, there are different seasons in Hyderabad. So what do we mean by that? That is technical. As a layman, what do you mean by that? Temperature. Right? Temperature at different point of time, let's say January, the temperature comes down to around 20 degrees Celsius. In July, the temperature goes up to 40 degrees Celsius. Right? So we say that Hyderabad experiences seasons. Imagine that Hyderabad is experiencing 20 degrees Celsius in January and 25 degrees in July. Would you call it season? No. We'll say that it is uniform throughout the year. There is no seasonal variation in temperature. Let's say climatic parameters, I'm just talking about temperature. So there is no seasonal variation of temperature in Hyderabad. So there is uniformity of climate or weather in Hyderabad. Right? Now we have January, much lower temperature. In July, much higher temperature, a difference of 20-25 degrees Celsius, which is huge. So we say that season occurs in Hyderabad. Are we clear? Why is it so? Why Hyderabad is experiencing so much contrast of temperature at two different point of time in a year? It is away from the equator, number one. Number two, it is what is the condition of Visakhapatnam? Any idea? Always? Almost uniform? You won't be experiencing 45 degrees Celsius temperature in Visakhapatnam and not less than 15 degree ever. Right? It will be somewhere around 18, 19 to at the most 28, 30. So the difference is very less as compared to Hyderabad. Why? Because Hyderabad is located in the interior. That's one of the factor affecting temperature distribution. So there are several factors which affects temperature of a place. Delhi, in spite of being located far away from equator, has the hottest temperature during summer. Right? So there are several factors which affect temperature. When we are talking about insolation, the only factor which affects temperature is the angle of incidence. Right? Anything else we are talking about is other than energy factor. Let's say a rocky surface, a sandy surface, a forested area, a pond, all will have different temperature with, even if they are located on the same latitude. Right? So even if they are located in the same latitude, the amount of insolation, the angle made by them will be same, but the temperature would be different because of nature of the surface. So there are several factors which affects temperature. Right now we are talking about Earth-Sun relationship and the formation of a season at a place. So the only way the sun can affect seasonal formation is the difference in the angle of incidence of a place. That is the only possibility. If the difference in the angle of incidence is very low, there won't be seasons. If it is high, then there will be season. That's why equatorial region do not experience seasons. Equatorial region does not experience seasons. Now another area, this is because of Earth-Sun relationship. Another area which do not experience seasons are coastal regions. Coastal regions generally does not experience seasons. But that has a different issue. It is because of continent-ocean exchange of energy. They do not. Mumbai, you don't experience a very hot summer, neither even cool winter, because it is located on the coast. Why there was a difference in Hyderabad and Visakhapatnam is because of that. Though Visakhapatnam is closer to equator, yet its temperature during summer will be less than Hyderabad. So there are factors. Right now we are talking only about the angle of incidence. Any doubt? Please keep on asking if you have any issue with that. Because though it is coastal but very close to equator, still it will not be hotter than Delhi during summer. That explains the location. Chennai would never cross or be having higher temperature than Delhi during summer, or Kanpur or Lucknow during summer. In spite of the fact that those cities are far away from equator, angle of incidence would be lower. Right? So when we compare two different places, the factors will be different. When we are comparing same place at two different point of time, फिर complicate हो गया नहीं? Good. Let's say we are talking about two places, Chennai, Delhi. Right? So it is two places. Then we'll be counting same time. Right? Summer in Chennai, summer in Delhi, winter in Chennai, winter in Delhi. So when we are changing the place, we are making the time constant. When we are talking about one single place, we are making the place constant, time different. So Chennai in January, Chennai in July, Delhi in January, and Delhi in July. Now Chennai will experience roughly similar temperature, almost similar temperature throughout the year. Maybe higher side, but roughly similar. Why? Because it is closer to equator, it is a coastal city. For both the reasons, it doesn't have, first thing, the difference, high difference in the angle of incidence, because it is close to equator. Right? Now, Delhi is far away from equator. Imagine when the vertical edge of the sun is at Tropic of Capricorn. The impact would be hugely different here, impact would be less different here. right? Now imagine that when it is at the topic of cancer, impact will be different, impact will be different. Are we getting it? So when it is at the topic of cancer, it is still closer. When it is at the equator, it is still closer to Chennai. When it is Capricorn, it's still closer, not very far. Because Chennai will hardly be located at 10 or 12 degree latitude. Delhi is located around 25 degree latitude. That makes 48 degree away when it is at the topic of Capricorn. And that makes almost 2 degree close to vertical rays when it is at Cancer. So look at the difference in the angle of incidence. So when we move away from the equator, both the sides, the difference in the angle of incidence at two different months of the year will keep on increasing. Hence the seasonal phenomena will keep on happening more away from the equator towards the pole. Good morning. Welcome to geography class. Do I need to try it again? खामोशी हाँ की अलामत होती है. So if you remain quiet, I'll believe that you are understanding. So for you to, if you want me to repeat, you need to speak. Okay, let me repeat from the beginning, right? And you tell me any point where I need to repeat it, right? I started with the consequence of revolution. One of the consequences you will read in the book is seasons, right? That is meant for kids. When you were kids, now you are grown up babies. So you need to go deeper into it. What I am talking about, the Earth-Sun relationship, right? With respect to energy, right? When revolution, how does revolution impact the energy availability at the Earth's surface? So first part is perihelion and aphelion. So Earth as a whole will receive more energy in perihelion and less energy in aphelion. But the energy difference is very small because the difference in the distance is very small. That's one part. Anywhere you need me to discuss? Second part is the distribution of energy across the Earth's surface. Earlier, Earth is a single body. Now, different places on the Earth. So, the different places of the Earth, personal experience we all have, that polar region have one of the lowest temperature, freezing temperature during winter and slightly warmer during summer. Equatorial region or tropical region has very high temperature. So, what does explain this high and low temperature? So, the biggest factor as far as energy is concerned is angle of incidence. Higher angle has greater impact on the surface. This one is clear? Any area which receives higher angle will have higher temperature if the nature of the surface is same. Like if it is a metallic body, so all the iron body will have different temperature with different angle. We are not comparing iron with tin, right? We are not comparing continental area with oceanic area. So if the nature of the surface is same, higher angle will make always higher temperature as compared to lower angle. Are we clear? Why is it so? Because of two reasons. One is higher angle at a surface which receives higher angle, the energy available per unit area is higher, or energy per unit area keep on decreasing from higher angle to lower angle. This is one part. Why is it so? Because the area served by higher angle is lesser, and because the curvature, the area served will keep on increasing. So the energy available will keep on decreasing, and so the temperature in general will keep on decreasing. That's one part. Anywhere you need to, any assistance? Second part is, if you have higher angle, the atmosphere through which the energy is supposed to pass will be lower. But because the curvature, when the energy is passing with the lower angle, the atmosphere through which the energy is supposed to pass will be thicker or longer. So loss of energy will be higher in the case of lower angle, will be lesser in the case of higher angle. Hence, with higher angle, loss of energy is lesser, means more energy strikes the Earth's surface or reaches the Earth's surface, means more temperature. So higher angle makes higher temperature in general because of energy available per unit area and a lesser loss of energy in the atmosphere. You write down this statement, final. Places receiving higher angle or experiencing higher angle, places receiving higher angle will have higher temperature as the energy available is higher, energy available per unit area, as the energy available per unit area is higher, as the energy available per unit area is higher, and the loss of energy in the atmosphere is lower. This is the crux of that. Loss of energy in the atmosphere is lower. Hope we are clear. Now, the question was, why should the angle be different at the same place at different parts of the year? Why should Hyderabad be experiencing different angle in different months? Because of revolution, right? And if it is not inclined, then same angle. Hyderabad would be experiencing same angle throughout the year. So there might be day-night temperature difference, but all the day will have same temperature throughout the year, and all the nights will have same temperature throughout the year. So which is more important? Revolution or inclination? Inclination. Right? If it is one factor which is given and you have to choose, in between it is inclination of the Earth's surface which makes seasons possible at any place. So when we are talking about why there would be different angle at same place, it is because of revolution and inclination. Why there would be different angle at two different places? Why one place will have different angle? First question. Why one place, any one place will have different angle? The answer is revolution, inclination. Here inclination is more important than even revolution. Even if it is revolving and there is no inclination, there won't be seasons. Right? Why two places will have different angle? Shape of the earth. Right? Two places will have different angle. It is because of the shape of the earth. Why Hyderabad and Chennai will have different angle at same time? Because of shape of the earth. Why Hyderabad will have different angle in January and July? Because of revolution and inclination. Anywhere you need any assistance, let me know. So we can breathe properly, right? Take a break. Continue. Galactic movement. The term galactic is related with galaxy. So movement of the earth around the galaxy. Write down movement of the earth as a member of the solar system. Movement of the earth as a member of the solar system around the center of its own galaxy, that is Milky Way. Around the center of the galaxy, that is Milky Way, is called galactic movement. Is called galactic movement. It moves with a speed of around 250 kilometers per second. With a speed of around 250 kilometers per second, it takes 250 million years to complete one revolution. With a speed of 250 kilometers per second, it takes 250 million years to complete one revolution. Imagine the extent of the Milky Way. Different position of solar system have different set of stars. Different position of solar system have different set of stars and other celestial bodies. Different set of stars and other celestial bodies around it. Around it, creating mysterious impact. Creating mysterious impact on solar system. Creating mysterious impact on solar system, including the earth. Including the earth. However, it will be difficult for the humans to understand. However, it will be difficult for the humans to understand and have a comparative analysis, to understand and have a comparative analysis of this movement. Comparative analysis of this movement because of the duration. It is God of scientists. Like mostly as a layman, when we don't have the answer, we say God knows. So whenever scientists come into conflict with any scientific explanation on the Earth's surface, they say that it might be due to galactic movement. Now what is galactic movement? Is solar system, right? Then you have a lot of other members revolving around the center of its own galaxy. Right? Let's say assume that this is the center of the galaxy Milky Way. So the way Earth is revolving around the Sun is also revolving around the center of its mother, that is galaxy. So since Sun is revolving, Earth automatically will revolve it. And that's what we call galactic movement. It is this movement of the solar system basically. And Earth as a part of solar system is also revolving around the Sun. Clear? Now imagine, right now Sun is here, so it is surrounded by a different set of stars. Right? When it is moving, the same set might not be there. And when it is moving, the same set might not be there, and so on. So let's say suppose there are two black holes, few million kilometers away here. There are three, there are one, and so on. There might be number of stars in the vicinity, which might be different here, and so on. So that is what scientists suggest, that this Milky Way movement or galactic movement of the Earth may have different impact at different position. Look at the period of revolution, 250 million years. Right? What is the age of scientific humans? At the most 2000 years. Effectively it is 100 years, 150 years. Right? Because just 150 years people didn't know that Earth was not the center, or Sun was not the center of the Earth, the center of the universe. So it is, recently we are having some kind of thing like last 15 years, it appears hugely different as compared to, let's say, 20th century, because of the revolution in communication, mobile, internet, chat GTP and so on, right? But before that it was not. So human will never be able to actually understand, have the comparative analysis of different position of the solar system in this movement, because it requires at least one revolution to be properly studied to make the comparative analysis. And period of one revolution is 250 million years. Are you clear? That is why scientists will always throw things, if they don't understand, they'll say that maybe because of galactic movement. Just like why Hindus have so many gods. Have you ever wondered? Like Hinduism or the religion I'm talking about. Why does so many gods? Different? Purpose? So why do Hindus only have different purpose? Why not others? No, you are educated people and I'm having a discourse here. Not a joke. At least I can't pass jokes on religion. So it is soberness of Hindu people, that's why we have so many gods. Soberness of Hindu people. What makes them so nice to respect the animals? That's the consequence we are talking about. I'm asking the cause. You are talking about the consequence. That's the consequence, not the cause. Humans are always same, remember it. It's not that a set of group are very extremely nice, no. The situation might have made them nicer. That's it. Otherwise, Homo sapiens are always same. In a similar condition, all the Homo sapiens will roughly behave in the same manner if they have same background. You might have committed so many mistakes. But if you go back and live another life, you will commit the same mistakes. That's human. It is only because of one factor, that is one of the oldest religion. Any contemporary religion will have same philosophy. You go and see the Greek religion. It's very much similar to Hinduism. Right? Romans, older one. Those who used to believe in Valhalla and all. They have the same. In Greek also you have Indra, you have so many gods. It's basically because oldest religion. When you come back, let's say suppose next is Christianity. Slightly more rational. Islam, more rational than these two. Sikhism, the most rational among the major religion because it originated in 15th century. Now, what is God? Where does God start for humans? Again, when the human reasoning ends, God begins. What is this bulb? What is that air condition? What is that a fan? What is that Allah Jane? God knows. So God begins when human reasoning ends. Any philosophy which is developed in 3000 years before the present would definitely will have least amount of reasoning as compared to the one which developed 2000 years before. And would have less reasoning as compared to 500. Islam came around 5th, 6th century. Christianity 2000 BC. Hinduism 1500 BC. Before present. AD, 180 around Christianity you have, the beginning of AD. So any religion which is like Greek religion is around 1500 BC, 1500 to 2000 BC. Mesopotamian civilization, Indus Valley civilization, Chinese civilization, you see that the older one have similar pattern of evolution. Only because of that. Sikhism, 15th century, culmination of all. If you see that Sikhism religion, that's the most rational among the major religion. It's because of the fact that it is evolved in 15th, 14th, 15th century. So they could really take best out of Hinduism and Islam, and you have a lot of things from Islam and from the basic Hinduism and Buddhism and Jainism and Sikh religion. You will never fear going into a Gurudwara, but you might be having a lot of fear going into a mosque, and nowadays into temples also. The Muslims go entering into temples. Imagine, they will be beaten to blue. You came here to line maro kind of thing. Hindus entering into mosques. But both of you entering into Gurudwara, they'll be feeding you. They know that you are not sick, yet they'll feed you, langars and all. It is primarily because they are more rational, and they are more rational because they are evolved, they originated when the humanity was rational. Communism is a religion. It might appear it is a political philosophy, but it's a religion. You just meet communist. They will be as conservative, as strong as any religious belief. Right? Capitalism is a religion. All these are religion. They don't have gods, projected gods, but they are religion. The philosophy, the belief is similar to religion. So communism, if you see the philosophy wise, they are much more rational. They talk about humanity, they talk about equality, they talk about upgradation of the lower class and all. So they are more rational because they are relatively recent phenomena. So here galactic movement, that's why you generally don't see in the books, because it is not very well understood, neither it is mentioned or properly analyzed. Now come back to, we'll start with climatology. The most important topic of geography from prelims point of view, especially world geography. We'll have the topics which you are supposed to go through: NCRTs, temperature, pressure and winds, humidity and precipitation, air masses and fronts, cyclones. I'll take this first. Cyclones and anticyclones. Air masses and fronts. Jet streams. Structure and composition. We'll have, though every book will give you this as first chapter. If you want to read in NCERT, you can go through it, but we'll discuss that as the last topic, structure and composition of the atmosphere. Then brief climatic classification. Climatic classification. Again, your source will always be NCERT. Majorly physical geography. If you are slightly well versed, you just directly go through 11th, 12th, wherever you have the topic. Otherwise, you start with as usual 6 to 12th. 6 to 10th, it hardly take 2, 3 or 4 hours. Only portion of climatology you are supposed to go. 6 to 12th. This is how the sequential order will go with the topic. What is climatology? Scientific study of the weather and the climate. Scientific study of the weather and the climate. What is weather? Sum total of atmospheric condition. Sum total of atmospheric condition. Sum total of atmospheric conditions produced by the combined effect of various climatic elements at a smaller place for a shorter period of time. That is weather, sum total of atmospheric conditions. Right? What is the scale is smaller place? Time. So in time and space they are smaller, whereas climate is average of weather. So generally when you find out average, it will always be longer period and larger area. Same, but for longer period and larger area. We don't say weather in Hyderabad. Anything? Where? Definition of weather. How is the weather in your area? Quite hot. Why? What do you mean by that? So you're talking about the state of the atmosphere, quite hot. Right? State of the atmosphere. So weather is the sum total of atmosphere produced by various climatic elements. Now when you say hot, it is due to high temperature. Now high temperature, if right now that we have high temperature, if there is sudden rain, the temperature will drop. You didn't get. You are from Hyderabad and nearby only, right? Not suddenly coming out of the ocean. So whenever rain falls, the temperature goes down, goes up or remains same. It's personal experience, you don't need to know geography for that. Depends upon okay. In summer if it rains, the temperature So if the rain falls, the temperature will go down or go up or remain same? Go down. That's the personal experience. There is no if and but in it. So if the temperature goes down, it is affected by rain also. If the cloud is there, there will be different temperature. So when you say hot, it may be humid also. So whatever we are saying is basically the atmospheric condition. And that condition is produced by several elements which we are talking about: temperature, humidity, maybe clouds, precipitation or something else. Maybe high speed of wind that is affected by pressure and all. So any atmospheric condition produced by combined effect of various climatic elements. For a shorter period of time, for a smaller area, we call it weather. An average of weather is called climate. So the difference between weather and climate primarily is of scale. Right? Change in weather, yesterday I told, I think, in your class, I hope, right? Change in weather is normal. And change in climate becomes an issue. Right? So the climate is long-term phenomena with larger area, largely static. Largely static. Weather is dynamic, extremely dynamic. Smaller scale. Scale in both time and space is smaller. In case of weather, it is larger in case of climate. Like NCERT writes, Egypt only has climate, doesn't have any weather. England only has weather, it doesn't have any climate. What do you mean by that? Okay, there is uniformity of atmospheric condition in Egypt throughout the year. That's why we say Egypt only has climate, doesn't have weather, because the atmospheric condition doesn't change frequently. Whereas England is extremely well known for changing weather condition or atmospheric conditions. We call only weather, not climate. The most important factor will directly jump to what we call temperature. The most important topic also, because every other topic will be related with it. Pressure, wind, humidity, precipitation, cyclones, every topic we are going to discuss will have something to do with temperature. What is temperature? Apart from degree of hotness and coldness. A lot of engineers, right? It's not your mistake. It's the problem of our education system. So don't be shy about it. And it's good that you are sitting in the class and become IS officer rather than becoming a bad engineer. What is temperature? Medium of weather. Relative difference in heat. What is heat? Degree of hotness. Heat is degree of hotness and coldness. How is it possible? Okay, heat is the amount of energy. Amount of energy with the capacity to generate temperature. Not all energy can generate temperature, but heat is the actual amount of energy which has the capacity to generate temperature, or which produces temperature in a body, or which affects temperature of a body, of an object. Right, intensity of heat energy is temperature. Intensity of heat energy is temperature. Temperature is the intensity of that heat energy. Right, that may be in understood in several ways. Right? Amount of heat energy. Now, same amount of heat may not necessarily generate same temperature in different body. You all know that. You don't need a rocket science. Same amount of heat is put into this. Different objects will respond differently. That's what you call conductivity. That's not a specific heat. It's something different. So heat to transform into temperature depends primarily on conductivity, or conductivity as a layman is absorption capacity. That's it. How much proportion of energy intercepted is absorbed by a body is conductivity. Right? Higher the conductivity, greater the temperature with the same amount of heat. So heat is one factor affecting temperature. Right? There will be several other factors which will be producing actual temperature. Now, X amount of heat to produce X value of temperature takes some time. For example, during a day, the highest temperature and highest energy and highest temperature will not be at the same time. Highest amount of energy and equivalent temperature will not take place at the same time. Again, personal experience. The moment you start thinking, yeah, we are discussing geography, which you have never read kind of thing. Don't do that. There are a lot of things. Best part of geography is that 70% you personally have experienced somehow or the other. You may not have ever pondered over it, may not have ever considered it as a matter of explanation. That's a different issue. I'm talking about which time period in a day you receive the maximum energy. Noon, that is around when the sun's rays is making maximum angle. And when do you expect the maximum temperature? 3 to 4 p.m. Right? So, maximum amount of heat and maximum amount of temperature takes some time. Or we can say that heat amount to raise the equivalent temperature takes some time. That's what intensity of heat energy. Right? Heat needs time to intensify. And that's what you call lag of temperature or lag of time lag also. Lag of temperature or simply time lag. Right? That heat to intensify and to produce same temperature depends one upon conductivity, another factor, time and temperature lag. If the conductivity is not very high, the temperature will not be very high, even with the same amount of heat. If the time given is not sufficient, then heat intensification will not be there and temperature will not be generated even if you have enough amount of heat. Good morning. Okay. A fire altar, right? Big one. I'm taking my hand and making move very fast. Throw it. Even if you have not experienced it, you can imagine it. Nothing will happen. Right? Second case, I'm taking it slowly. I won't be there to actually feel whether anything has happened or not. What is the main difference between these two? Amount of energy is same. In the first case, that time lag. I didn't allow the heat to intensify. So no effect. I allowed the heat to intensify. So it affected. That's the best example of time lag or intensification of heat. So whenever you have heat, it will produce temperature. But the temperature amount of temperature, the value of temperature depends on several other factors. One of the factor is heat. Heat in terms of what we are going to discuss is insolation primarily. So if you have highest amount of insolation does not necessarily mean you will have highest temperature as well. Over clear? Now temperature change in a body. Why do temperature of an object will change? If you give heat, if there is an absorption of heat, there will be increase in temperature. If there is release of heat, there will be decrease in temperature, right? So now temperature change is in two ways. One is called diabatic change, and another one is called adiabatic change. Adiabatic change. That means temperature of an object can change in two different ways. Diabatic, when there is heat exchange. When there is exchange of heat, any change in temperature due to this is called diabatic change. Exchange of heat means heat gain, temperature increases, heat loss, temperature decreases. Simple experience. Right? You are standing in front of a heater like this. Your body is receiving heat. So heat is gained, temperature rises. You take your hand back side. Now your hand comes in the contact with the atmosphere and you start losing temperature. So heat loss, temperature decreases. Such change in the temperature is called diabatic. Adiabatic is associated with change in the volume. Whenever there is change in the volume, there is no role of heat here. But even if the heat amount remains constant and we change the volume, there will be change in temperature. When the volume increases, temperature decreases. When the volume decreases, temperature increases. This is called adiabatic heating, adiabatic cooling. This is adiabatic heating. Generally, in a parcel of air, when it moves up, it expands. So, here what is happening? From ground till here, volume is increasing, temperature is decreasing, adiabatic cooling. Whenever the reverse takes place, when it comes down, when the air comes down, volume decreases, temperature increases. This is adiabatic heating. This is adiabatic cooling. Once more, have you ever experienced winter? Lower temperature? What do you do with your body? Generally, we shrink our body. What actually we are doing? We are reducing the volume. To same amount of energy is distributed over a smaller area. So we feel slightly warmer. There is no change of energy. This is adiabatic heating. When you have summer, you generally try to spread your body. So increase the volume. Right? When you increase the volume, same amount of energy is distributed over a larger area. And it is adiabatic cooling. Just like that, fist. If you close it, you will feel slightly warmer. So you reduce the volume, so you have more temperature with same amount of energy preserved in the body. You open it, you lose the energy. This is adiabatic cooling. So air also, whenever an air parcel is suppose on the ground right now here, if it's heated, it will move up. The moment it is moving up, the density of the atmosphere will be lower, higher up, so they'll expand. With the expansion, whatever amount of energy they have started with, they will remain roughly the same. But because of the volume increase, energy available per unit area will decrease. And as a result, you will have temperature decrease. This is what you call adiabatic cooling, adiabatic heating. Hope you understand that. So temperature change is associated with adiabatic cooling and adiabatic heating. Now, if you see into temperature, it affects the wavelength of the energy also. Temperature of a body affects the wavelength of the radiant energy. Wavelength of the radiant energy. So, wavelength of energy is inversely proportional to the temperature of the radiating body. If the body has higher temperature, wavelength will be smaller. If the body has lower temperature, the wavelength of the radiant energy will be longer. So it will be long, it will be short. Higher temperature, let's say in case of sun, so any energy radiated from the sun will be of short wave because the temperature of the radiating body is extremely high, around 6000 degrees Celsius. Whereas when it comes to Earth, it has lower temperature around 15 degrees Celsius. The energy released will be long wavelength. Are we clear? What do we mean by short and long wavelength? Short, long, as simple as that. Right? A difference of 50 degrees Celsius, 100 degrees Celsius will not make conspicuous difference in the wavelength of energy. It needs to be having 1000 degrees Celsius to have the visible difference in the wavelength. So, a sun, that's insolation. Earth, terrestrial radiation. Right? So, energy is in the shorter form. Now, what does it mean? Just as a layman imagine, that is thinner energy. It is thicker energy. Thin energy needs smaller space to pass through. Thick needs larger space. So, some atmospheric particles may have interstitial space sufficient for it to allow to pass through it, but may not have sufficient to pass through it. And that's how the radiation is generated. Right? That's how the counter radiation, or what we call as greenhouse effect. Right? Greenhouse effect you might have heard. It is what we call counter radiation. So, let's come back to heat. Heat are of two types. Sensible heat and latent heat. Again, I am moving fast because basics of physics, and you being South Indian, I expect you to be a little bit aware about it. If not, you have every right to tell me. Sensible and latent heat, which can be sensed, which can be felt, right, which remains hidden, can't be felt. Right, that is sensible and latent heat. Right, heater, energy is released, sensible or latent? Sensible heat, because we can sense that heat. When we heat up water, it is transformed into water vapor. Lot of heat is hidden there. That's called latent heat. Right? So evaporation, let's say suppose evaporation creates water vapor. Right? Now, if we, how do we define evaporation? Transformation of liquids into gas. Right? What do we do with liquid to transform it into gas? We give lot of energy. Right? Water starts boiling at 100 degree and then it starts becoming vapor at 300, 400 degree kind of. So all that degree of energy has been put into the water to transform it into vapor. Right? So that energy, first law of conservation of energy, cannot be created nor it can be destroyed, it only transforms and all. बचपन से पढ़ते आ रहे होंगे आप लोग. So when we put energy into it, that water is transformed into water vapor. So you might have read hot water contains lesser energy as compared to water vapor. Right? So that is latent heat. So when we put energy into water, let's say suppose oceanic area, insolation, vapor. Right? So this transformation, the amount of energy contained here is called latent heat of vaporization. Latent heat of vaporization. What is the net effect of evaporation at the surface? Wherever evaporation is taking place, cooling or heating? Cooling. Evaporation leads to cooling. Again, not going into physics. Simple. Amount of energy which is falling. So if a portion of it is used in evaporating the surface, so less amount of energy is available to heating the surface. Are we clear? That's why evaporation, net effect of evaporation is cooling. So whenever we are talking about net effect of evaporation is cooling. Not getting? कुछ तो बोलो. Got it? Evaporation. What does the fan do? Why do we feel cool when fan is running? It evaporates the sweat we release, and that evaporation affects the temperature of the body. So when evaporation takes place, you have cooling. So that's why I'm saying net effect of evaporation is cooling. Now, technically when we say any surface, let's say suppose wet soil and dry soil. Right? So wet soil and dry soil, if they are receiving same amount of energy, right, which will have higher temperature? Dry soil. Why? The wet soil means it has some amount of moisture in it. Dry soil means lesser or no moisture. Now the energy falling on it is same. So good amount of energy over the wet soil will be utilized in evaporating the water. Let's say 20%. So 20% less amount of energy is heating the surface, and 20% more amount of energy is heating this surface. So the temperature here will be higher as compared to temperature over the wet soil. That's how we'll correlate why deserts have higher temperature. Look at Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, all are located in the same latitude. Means all receive same amount of insolation. Length of the day will be same, Angle of incidence will be same, yet the temperature is different, right? Because Rajasthan is drier. UP is slightly wetter. Bihar is very wet. Bengal is again the coastal area. So on the same latitude, why do we have different temperature? One of the factor will be the availability of moisture. The same factor will be continent and oceans. One of the factor why oceanic areas on the same latitude will have lower temperature is because of evaporation. And the amount of energy possessed by the water vapor, we call it latent heat of vaporization. Are we clear? Now, condensation. What do you mean by condensation? Come again? Change in the state of matter, exactly opposite of evaporation, right? So evaporation was basically transformation of liquid into gas. This is gas back to liquid or solid. This is condensation. So when water vapor is transformed back into liquid, we call it condensation. Energy released or absorbed. Here energy released or absorbed? Absorbed, right? Energy is absorbed by water particle liquid to transform into gas. Here the same amount of energy what is possessed by gas as latent heat has to be released to transform itself into liquid. And that process is called condensation and the energy release is called latent heat of condensation. Latent heat of condensation. So during evaporation, energy is absorbed. And during condensation, energy is released. Absorbed energy will have less net effect as cooling because energy is transferred from there to somewhere else. But condensation where the energy is released means that will be having heating effect. So net effect of condensation will be heating. Net effect will be heating. Net effect will be cooling. Where that means we can say that at a place where evaporation is taking place, the surface will be cooler than otherwise. At a place where condensation is taking place, the surface will be hotter than otherwise. Are we clear? Any doubt, let me know. When pressure is constant. So when the volume changes, the pressure also changes. So when you take PV is equal to nRT, directly proportional, like if I talk about pressure temperature, directly proportional or inversely proportional? Think again. When volume is constant, right? So if we treat volume as constant, then pressure and temperature is directly proportional. If volume is not constant, then they are not, right? They might be inversely proportional. Same principle applies here. When we are talking about energy is constant, when volume is increasing, so energy available decreases per unit area. When volume is decreasing, same amount of energy is spread over larger area, smaller area. As simple as that. Anything else? Please feel free. There's a way of revision also to ask question, relevant question. Hope we are getting this part. Net effect is heating, net effect is cooling. Energy transfer, process of energy transfer in the atmosphere. Process of energy transfer in the atmosphere. We'll start our discussion tomorrow from here. If I am forgetting anything, just remind me this part. Process of energy transfer in the atmosphere. From there we'll continue. Try to go through the NCRTs with temperature, all parts of temperature. French Guiana, Suriname, Guyana, Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Chile, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, Bolivia, Brazil, Bolivia, Paraguay, Uruguay, Peru, Venezuela, Guyana. Don't open the atlas. One person, anyone who wants to speak. Yes, of course, in the order. French Guiana, all of you supposed to recall. French Guiana, Suriname, Guyana, Venezuela, Colombia, Shabash, Peru, good. Not all, one individual. This is the process. Just let only your ears to hear it and go through it, recall, keep on recalling. This is a process, not a test of your intelligence. I will never do that because I know you are more intelligent, required to qualify civil services. Because once you go to Labasna, you will find that so many gadhas are there. Much worse than you. You will always find. Anyone else? We need 6 people. No, backside. Brazil, Bolivia, Paraguay first or Uruguay first? Uruguay, Argentina. We are not in a hurry. Relax. We have all the time in the world. Start fresh. Brazil, Bolivia, Paraguay, Uruguay. Good. Chile, not all. Please keep quiet. Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, Shabash, Guyana. She missed one country, I think. No. Anyone else? I need 6 people. You need to hear 6 times. Yes, please. French Guiana, Suriname, Guyana, Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Chile, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, Bolivia, Brazil. Will Bolivia touch Chile? Stop it. Just to recall, it is 1-1. Bolivia will touch Chile. Chile will touch Argentina. Chile will touch Ecuador. I'm not asking any one of you. So just shut up. Believe me, it is the process. You don't have the experience, I have the experience. Don't speak, just listen. Don't do anything else. Be a part of the process. Just listen, recall. I am helping you revise right here. I am making my job tough to help you remember me forever. Right? Anyone else? Back. This is the easiest continent, remember it. We are going to go deeper into Africa and all. 30 minutes, Africa is done. Brazil. Brazil, Bolivia, Paraguay, Uruguay, Argentina, Chile, Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana, Shabash. It's okay. French Guyana. We are trying to remember. You are not being examined. Right? What is the capital of Venezuela? That's what you are supposed to do. Yesterday I told, just recall. Don't speak. Let her feel the torture. Venezuela, capital. You didn't hear. Argentina. Buenos Aires. Coastal city or interior? Interior. You are supposed to look into that. Anyone else? Look at, you can believe why girls are getting top position. You can see right here. No, it's a fact. Anyone else? Yes, please. हाँ, कुछ तो इज्जत रख लो लड़कों के, हाँ? Anywhere, any direction. Brazil, Bolivia, Paraguay, Uruguay, Argentina, Chile, Shabash, Ecuador, Colombia, Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana. What is the capital of French Guiana? Right. What is the capital of French Guiana? None. Huh? It's a coastal city, but don't remember the name. Okay, let's do it together. French Guiana, Suriname, Guyana, Colombia, Peru, Chile, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, Bolivia, Brazil. I'm just asking questions. Let's play. Kind of. Don't take pressures. That's the best way to prepare. Any subject. Just play with that. Just keep on asking questions. Oh my God, Ashoka ne ye bhi kiya tha. Right? Ashoka was better than this. Like just recall, compare and all. Just keep on playing it that way. You will never be pressurized to memorize it. In the process, you will remember everything. Right? When you're reading so intensely. Oh my God, Ashoka has so many edicts, 13 edicts, 14 edicts. Instead of that, right? Oh, he was the first ruler who actually started edicting, writing something on it. Before that, not many. Okay, somebody might have written like. So just play with that. So we are just playing. Will equator pass through Argentina? Good. You are being honest. Don't see the atlas in between. Right? So what we are lacking right now? The capital city, its location, and the major latitude passing through the countries. We have two latitudes passing through that continent is equator and Tropic of Capricorn. This is your homework for tomorrow, and we'll do it. We'll finish South America tomorrow. We may start Africa tomorrow. Thank you and take care. That's all for the day.